Greetings everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed here and we've returned back to Fatal 12. One of the most famous structures in Japan is Tokyo Tower. And with us today we have an unlikely alliance between Alan, Odetti, and our only protagonist, Rinka. While its 1100 foot of height may fall short compared to the Skytree's 2100, it remains an illustrious sight amongst the cityscape. Observatory perched 800 foot above the ground may require a fee, but one can easily see the entirety of Tokyo from it. Viewing the city from such a height truly gives a new perspective of what is found on the surface. It almost feels like staring into an entirely different world. Many people experience a wide range of emotions here, but one person stands out from the rest, one whose purpose is the complete opposite of theirs. The feeling experienced by the people who stare down at the world only serve to separate them from it. This is no time to let that influence him. He has to focus on what's to come. That is all this person could think about. You hate it? It is none other than you. The boy meant to lose his life upon carrying out His irritation comes not only from his sense of duty to alert the world to the plight of others, but also from his own emotions. Emotions he simply cannot control. They become an inseparable part of him the very moment they sprouted. It hurts. That reality pains him. He glances at the phone provided by him by his organization and checks the news. Reports saying that a number of bags with bombs inside have been found in the area. Investigations to determine the responsible party are currently underway. Connections are also being made to the attack of a Matches Girls University High School, as the bombs found were of the same type used there. Everything's going well. The more security is concerned with what's going on away from here, the less attention they'll pay to him. Besides, he is well aware that very few people in his country will suspect a child for being responsible for a terrorist attack. They can never fathom that the things they will see on the news are happening right next to them. He squeezes a bag he has hustled in front of him tight. It is the very same bag he was once meant to use on the Yamamoto line. The keychain attached to it is one he picked himself. However, the explosive within completely outclassed those to be used back then. They are custom made by one of the organization's members, one whom New had yet to determine whether or not he should refer to as an ally. They know the organization is on the brink of collapse, so they put all their knowledge and spirit to work. The explosion won't kill you though. Countless people will die within one of the country's most famous landmarks, but amongst all the bodies, you will stand tall. Not being able to go out as a hero is somewhat disappointing to him, but the world wouldn't have a choice but to take notice of these events as well. Of course, this isn't Yu's true motive. I can't stop myself anymore. That's why you need to, and when you do... Okay. His words, while they fell on deaf ears, are directed to one specific person. I better get going. Yu lines up to purchase a ticket to the observatory, which he accomplishes with ease. It's somewhat rare for a child to come here alone, but not enough for anyone to suspect him. He's just a child after all. The lady at counter would never expect that a bomb sits within this bag. Up next is... Yu casts a glance toward the staff carrying out bag checks. There are two ways to reach the observatory. One is the emergency staircase and the other is the elevator. The emergency staircase is open during the day for all to use. It should take around 50 minutes to reach the observatory by that route. In order to maximize the number of casualties, both paths must be rendered unusable. That's what the other members are for, however. The plan has already been put into motion. It's time. A hint of severity takes over his expression. His pupils widen like those of a wild beast. He makes his way to the baggage check line. In front of him is a child even smaller than him alongside their parents. He makes sure not to look back in order to avoid suspicion, but behind him is also a girl around his age. Then again, Rinka looks around the same age as him, judging solely by height. So he cannot be certain of this. Not like these people matter to you. His only concern lays in whether or not he notices any participants such as numerial 11. The family in front of him passes through the check without issue. Up next is Yu himself. The moment the staff approaches him, he moves on reflex. Huh? He pulls up a gun he had kept hidden under his coat. A Glock 19. It is both compact and simple to handle. This is no toy gun. It is as real as they come.
何
What the?
やっぱりね。
Figures. He brings his left hand up to steady the gun before firing 3 shots into the staff member's gut. The gunshots sound far less flashy than in the movies. The reason he avoided their head was simple. The staff member is a participant. You knows that fate will intervene and prevent their death.
僕を邪魔しに来たんだね。
You came to stop me after all. Ouch. It is Alan Scorby who has disguised himself as one of the tower staff. He finds himself crouched on the floor, as his reaction to use assault is a split second too late. The floor is painted red with his blood. Alan's physique is nothing to scoff of, but no amount of muscle can stop a bullet. The damage done will be minimal, due to the bullet being fired point blank, but it will be more than enough to render him immobile. Oh gosh. You waste no time with this opportunity. Reaches back and grabs the arm of the girl behind him, pulling her over to him and pointing the gun at her head. Oh
これは
gosh.
人質だ。
Consider her a hostage. Oh,
エレベーターを止めたならば、こいつを殺すよ。
eek. I'll kill her if you stop the elevator. You has no issue whatsoever with killing non-participants. No one amongst the crowd is gunning enough to try anything, either. Every last one of them are paralyzed with fear after witnessing what just happened. They don't even run up to Alan to make sure he is okay. All they can do is scream. Full-scale panic is already set in by the time the other staff and those whose curiosity got the better of them come to the scene. The situation is too far beyond anyone's control at this point.
待って。
Wait. Any normal person would have collapsed from the pain posed by those wounds, but Alan remains able to stare you dead in the eye. Split-second decisions are what the entire situation demands. You proceed to take his phone out while keeping the girl close. This is necessary in order to execute his, well, rather, their plan.
これだね。
Here we go. He navigates his way to and launches a streaming app. The account used for this particular stream is anonymous, but he has all the confidence in the world that the channel will spread like wildfire thanks to social media.
こうかな。
I think this is how you do it. He has gone through the motions previously, but it's still hard for him to figure out. He turns the phone camera toward himself and makes sure he's in frame, keeping an eye on what's going on around him. He makes a number of inputs before setting the stream to go live. The title of the stream, which I had decided on earlier, is simple. The organization's name plus that. You, opting not to rely on his book card, speaks to the viewers as somewhat crude Japanese.
僕は今からここ、東京タワーで自爆テロを行う。
Plenty of viewers got hooked by the title alone. That being said, the comments are full of nothing but trolls. Most are saying things along the lines of "quit the act kid" and "nice public stunt lol." Some other choice examples: "This is why they should age gate the net," and "There's some new." Okay. The viewer count may have spiked initially, but many began to leave after seeing the wave of incredulous comments. A huge surge is yet to happen. You pays no attention to the comments section, of course.
人質は取ったよ。この銃も本物だ。そっちに撃たれた人がいる。
Great. Even with that said, he still has a good idea of how people react. This time his time spent watching TV at his house wasn't for nothing. His unfamiliarity with streaming leads him to leaving himself out of frame at times, but he eventually turns the camera toward Alan.
嘘だと思ってもいいよ。だって僕はそういう人たちにこそ知らせたいんだ。
It's fine if you don't believe me. You're the type of person I'm doing this for in the first
これ
place.
は無関心の抵抗。残酷な世界からの警告だよ。
This is a message for all you people who don't care about the world beyond your bubble. A message for those who suffer the most outside of it. You speak slowly to his audience. He figures that the stream will be perceived as legitimate after showing both the gun and someone who had been shot by it. There will be people who still think it's fake, but also those who will spread it under the belief that it's all real. Not to mention the possibility of people at the scene currently watching. The general population comes to realize it's real, though. The viewer counts continue to climb is proof of that. The admins likely aren't aware of the stream yet, but you knows they will be unable to cut it off even when they do take notice.
うすうす気づいている人もいるかもしれないけれど、はっきり言うね。
Some of you may have connected the dots already, but let me make it
あ
clear.
の高校、私立アメ茶女子高校で爆破テロを起こしたのは僕だ。
I'm the one responsible for the bombing at that girl's university high
僕
school.
があの事件の犯人だ。つまり、罪もないあの少女を殺したのは僕だよ。
That makes me the one responsible for the death of an innocent girl.
でも、
Ugh.
罪がないっていうのは君たちの意見だ。
Of course, you only believe her to be innocent.
僕からすれば、世界に対して興味がなかった時点で罪なんだ。テレビやネットでニュースを見ている。そんなものは興味のうちには入らないよ。
But if you ask me, anyone without any concern for the world at large is anything but innocent. Even if you read and watch up on the news, that's little more than an excuse.
少し僕の話をしようか。
Let's talk about me for a bit. You lowers the tone of his voice a bit. This is bad.
何これ本当に日本
What the hell? Is this really happening in Japan? Mao poses the question to herself as she watches the stream. The fact that it is happening right after she learned about the bombs that were found earlier takes us by surprise. The boy had both a gun and a hostage. What's more, he's already used the gun on someone. His intent is to make his way up to the observatory and set off an explosion had been made clear. Mao cannot believe this is occurring in Japan of all places. The boy makes it very clear that he is doing this for people like her, those who can't quite believe this is really happening. Mao is unable to consider herself a mere bystander in all of this though.
この子が
He's the culprit. He just claimed responsibility for what happened at Mecha. That makes him the one responsible for Naomi's death. Naomi wasn't just an underclassman to Mao, she was a close friend.
少し僕の話をしようか。
Let's talk about me for a bit. The boy switches the topic to himself as Mao and the rest of Japan watches. This is a moment she has to pay attention to.
僕はこの国とは対照的な場所で生まれた。安全なんて保証されていない国だよ。日本の人は名前すら知らないだろうね。
Life in the country I was born was the complete opposite to what the people of Japan are used to. Even the name of my country wouldn't ring a bell for you. Every day was a fight for survival.
父親は僕が生まれる前に、母親は僕が生まれてすぐ死んだらしい。生まれてから僕は一人で生きてきた。
That's a sentence I'm not going to read out loud.
そんな僕が生きることができたのは、とある施設に引き取られたからだ。
The only reason I was able to survive was due to a certain institution I was taken into. The institution was a hospital but doubled as an orphan. It was full of children like you, orphans who had no one to take care of them.
大人たちの中にママと呼ばれる日本人の女の人がいた。ママは昼間は医者として働き、それ以外の時間は僕たちのいた施設で働いていた。
There was a Japanese woman who we called Mama. She worked as a doctor in the afternoons and at the orphanage the rest of the time. According to him, this lady also used her spare time to train new doctors. Not only was the place rife with conflict, but it was also far from sanctuary. There simply weren't enough doctors to take care of all the patients. What's more, she took as much time as possible to look after the children as well.
僕たち孤児はママがいるから生きることができた。たまには料理も作ってくれたよ。
We were able to live thanks to her efforts. She even took the time to make food for us every now and then.
その時期僕は母親がいるというのはこういうことなんだと思っていた。
At the time, being around her helped me to understand what it must be like to have a mother.
でも
Eek,
ママ一人じゃ限界
damn
があ
this
る。
child.
体も心も、そしてお金も。
There's a limit to how much one person can do on their own, though, physically, mentally, and financially. Medical treatment requires proper funding. There's no limit to where the expenses can go, medicine equipment, personnel, etc. The institution itself couldn't run without funding either. They needed an incredible amount of money just to provide the most basic of necessities. The number of patients and orphans only increased. As such, both the hospital and institution constantly lacked the money to run properly.
ママは自分の故郷、日本に助けを求めたり、もちろん国からはお金はもらえない。
Mama sought aid from Japan, her home country of course. They wouldn't provide her the money she needed. Money gathered by non-profit organizations to aid such places existed, but it wasn't enough. The money wasn't provided solely for their institution either. No place on earth is able to provide infinite funding.
だから民間人君たちに支援を求めたんだ。インターネットを使って寄付を募った。
In the end, the people there opted to ask you for help by setting up a funding service on the internet.
結果はもうわかるよね。
You're all aware of how that went, aren't you?
集まったのはビビたる金額。ママはついに過労で死んでしまった。
We barely received anything, and Mama eventually died from being overworked. That was akin to losing his own mother. From the institution itself, they had lost one major pillar supporting it.
ママはこんな風に言ってたっけ？きっと大丈夫。日本人はいい人たちばかりだから、きっと助けてくれる。離れていても同じ故郷を持っているんだからって。
Mama used to say that the kindness of Japanese people would make things work out. They would come to the aid of a fellow countryman no matter what. The people of this country would feel for her plight as she worked hard in a far-off land. She truly believed in the people of her homeland.
ママが言うんだからって僕も信じてたよ。
I believed her words because they came from her.
でも嘘だった。
It was all a lie though.
僕たちの国だけじゃない。同じ日本人のママに対しても君たちは無関心だった。
You people didn't care. Not about my country, and not about Mama. You runs down the events in his life that has led up to now.
こんなの
That's just... Mao struggles to find the right words. Based on his age, Mao had been born during the whole ordeal. Despite this, she had no clue that any of what has just said had happened. The fact that he had brought a fellow Japanese into the equation settled things.
だって
I mean, she hates this boy for what he did to Naomi. Just thinking about him makes her very angry. Still, she finally realizes that she should direct her anger at herself too. Age is of no consequence here. The general apathy of the public killed that woman. None of it serves to pardon the actions that resulted in Naomi's death though. It is, however, a fact that Mao has no means to refute his claims. There's lots of sides here. And still this. Everyone listens to you attentively.
その後、僕は傭兵となった。傭兵といっても、使い捨ての少年兵だよ。
After that, I became a mercenary, though I was treated more like a disposable tool.
敵なら誰でも倒したよ。僕は戦う才能が、銃を扱う射手の才能があった。
I took out any and all opponents with ease. I was talented in the art of war, a natural marksman.
そうするしかなかった。そうできちゃった。
I did what I did because I had no choice. He continued to survive or may not be what he desired. Survival on the battlefield only yields the death of others. All this even after Mama's efforts to teach him compassion. As such, he disposed of his emotions in order to get used to the idea of ouch. The bits of emotions left over from the process remained sealed and hidden within him. All so he could progress forward without losing his sense of self. In exchange, he found a new reason to carry on.
英雄になれ。僕はそう教えられてきた。
Really? And who taught you that, you? I was only ever taught one thing after that. Become a hero. He speaks of how they taught him that people become heroes in... No. They don't, unfortunately. About how they can offer up their lives for the sake of their benefits. In doing so, no one can claim they are wrong. Dying in order to protect what's important to them is the one true way of people to become heroes.
ママは死んだからこそ僕の中で英雄になったんだって僕は気づいた。ママは信念を守ったんだ。
I came to realize that Mama had become a hero in her death. She stuck to her values till the very end.
だから僕も英雄になりたかった。
That's why I wanted to become a hero myself.
やがて僕はヌル日本支部へと流れてきた。彼らの幹部が日本に来た時、僕は自分の過去を少しだけ話す機会があったから。
I eventually ended up at Knowles Japan branch, thanks to telling one of their leaders about my past when I came to Japan.
無関心への抵抗。僕には難しかったけど、しっくりきたよ。
The fight against this country's indifference was a bit difficult for me to understand, but it resonated with me nonetheless.
世界への復讐を果たして僕は英雄になるよ。
I could become a hero while getting my revenge on the world. Saying that, Yu tugs his hostage over toward the
今
escalator.
頃僕の仲間が展望台を占拠しているはずだ。非常階段から行こうとしても無駄だよ。そこにも僕の仲間がいるから。
My comrades should have the observatory under their control now. Don't bother using the emergency stairway either. I have other people stationed there as well. Leaving that warning behind, he makes his way to the elevator. His phone is pointed away from his face once inside. He doesn't want the stream to notice his pained expression as the door closes. The girl he had taken hostage cries the entire way up. She is visibly shaking too. He feels no compassion whatsoever for her. So why should he? If he feels anything toward her, it's gratitude that she hasn't made much of a fuss otherwise. The observatory is a mere 1 minute ride on the elevator away. Yu spends this time reflecting on the past he had just spoken about. The idea of people getting emotional over his story does nothing but annoy him. Has anyone in this country gone through the same miserable experiences as him? He hates those who consider themselves different from the masses because they feel a speck of concern over events like the ones he spoke of. It means nothing if no effort is made to change things. The elevator continues to climb the tower as he ponders this. Before long, they reach the observatory. After a brief floor announcement, the elevator drops, the door opens.
どういうつもり？
What are you doing? Upon departing the elevator, he finds himself staring down the muzzle of a gun. A woman with a freakishly muscular body is pointing a high-caliber revolver between his eyes. It is none other than Numero 11, against whom he had fought previously.
ごっこ遊びはおしまいだ。
Your little game's over, kid. A gunshot rings out. Yu was convinced his comrades were waiting for him. That led to him letting his guard down. He hadn't received word about this either. That's why he wasn't able to move before the gunshot went off. He remains unscathed, however. She hadn't aimed for him. Instead, her target was the phone he had been using to stream the events. The phone is flung back into the elevator as it breaks apart in mid-air. Yu wastes no time in readying the same gun he shot Alan with immediately afterwards.
人質よ。
Remember, I have a hostage. A familiar voice shouts from beside him. The person said voice belongs to take a gun out of their own, but it doesn't shoot. Instead, they use it as a blunt device, swinging it at the hand Yu is holding his own with.
遅い。
Yu evades, making sure to keep his bag safe as well. When the girl swings misses, she is blunt over and wide open to retaliation. A black substance oozes onto the floor from her hair. Underneath the ooze, golden streaks reveal themselves.
お前は
You're... Rinka. Yu pieced together that the hostage he took was her in disguise. Although surprised, his movements are not affected. He reflectively fires his weapon at her. However, dealing with two opponents in a closed space like this proves reckless even for him. Odette gets a grip on his clothes and violently pulls him towards her. The shots fired at Rinka go astray as a result, piercing right through the elevator ceiling. Odette takes aim at his back with her own gun. The space between his back and his bag, to be precise. She survives off two shots, both hitting the shoulder strap of his bags. What? One slight miscalculation would have resulted in hitting the bomb concealed within the bag. Fate may have kept him alive, but they still would have been seriously injured from the explosion at such close proximity. Odette's marksmanship ensures she hits her target and severs the bag from Yu. She does this because she just knows how much damage the bomb could cause. Yu redirects his attention toward the bag so as to not drop it. He is fine with getting himself hurt, but there wouldn't be enough victims were the bomb to go off here. His decision to prioritize the bag is the exact opposite of Odette's. She delivers a swift, powerful kick to his back while his eyes are glued to the floor. Being almost double his weight, Odette's kick sends him flying. Odetti's grins from ear to ear. She sees him take to the air. She isn't even concerned about the bag. Watch out! Rinka tosses her gun and lunges for the bag. Okie dokie, how is this going to end up? She goes in head first, arms fully extended. The impact against the floor would likely cause a bomb to go off. That realization is what causes her to jump without a moment's thought. Ugh. She manages to catch a bag with both hands as both her body and her face continues to skid across the floor, while she is able to prevent the bomb from going off. Her face now feels like it's been peeled away from her skull.
どうして?
Why is this happening? The bomb had been stolen from him mere moments before he could accomplish his goal. His outcry is a result of letting his emotions take control. It is the only thing left he can do. And it was probably the scariest moments of my life. A bag with a bomb inside almost crashed onto the floor. I would have had to bear the brunt of the explosion if I had failed to catch it. But it's an experience I've been through once before. I wouldn't have died this time, but who knows how badly I would have been burnt. My face would have been unrecognizable. My actions helped us pull through the initial phase of our plan. That much I'm confident about.
爆弾無視すんなよ
There's a bomb in here, damn it, don't just ignore it.
いやジョーちゃんが分かってくれて助かった仕方ねえだろこのガキを出し抜くには今日つくしかなかったんだ
My bad. Throwing a feint was the only way I could get it away from him, so glad you knew what to do after that. I'd normally be surprised to see that she's still smiling during all of this, but I now know this is what she lives for. Things are going just as we planned.
どうして? 誰もいないの?
Why are you two the only ones here? There are no traces of any customers, nor used comrades. We are the only three here.
ああのしたてめえみたいのを期待したが残念ながら素人同然で歯応えがなかった
Well, we did just let our buddies in. Was hoping they'd be as strong as you, but nah, just a bunch of small fry.
10人はいたはずだよ
There were 10 of them.
てめえが3人だったら積んでたなだが雑魚なら何人集めても大した問題にはならねえ
Numbers ain't nothing when they're all pushovers, but if there were even 3 people like you, then we'd have been in trouble.
君の特徴は話していたはずなのにどうして通したんだもし力ずくで押し通ったなら騒ぎになっていたはずなのに
I told them all about you, so why did they let you through? You couldn't have forced your way through without causing a stir.
それに定期連絡にも異常はなかった
What's more, they kept in contact with me and never mentioned anything.
気づかなかったかその定期連絡をしてたのは私だ
Excuse me, you didn't notice? That was me sending those messages.
わざと踊らせたんだよてめえの仲間をぶっ倒して客を避難させただけじゃ入り口で強行手段に出る可能性もあった
I played you because I had to. There was every chance you'd go wild right at the entrance if I took down your powers and evacuated everyone.
この東京じゃどこで爆発を起こしても何人かは巻き込めるからな
You're bound to round up a good number of casualties no matter where you blew yourself up in Tokyo. That's why we made this plan to take the bomb away from him. His lack of consideration to his own life makes things far more difficult to handle than we would normally. I was worried that when Odetti said that she would handle all his comrades, but she really did manage to put it off.
あとはわかるなてめえをぶちのめして話を聞かせてもらう
You know the rest, I'm sure. We're gonna beat the hell out of you and get you to talk.
言っただろ簡単には殺されない
I told you that I didn't plan on dying so easy, didn't I? He directs that line straight at me. Then he realizes his gun and points it my way. But I'm not his target. It's most likely the bomb. Taking his focus off Odetti proves to be a mistake though. She isn't one to let that slip past her. Making use of the reach provided by her height advantage, she launches another kick right at his jaw before he could fire. You barely dodges in time, but Odetti didn't let up. She continues with an unrelenting barrage of punches and kicks.
こっちなら
How about this? He whips out a knife with his left hand. Odetti backsteps. She must figure out she'll get slashed if she tries to kick him again. Yu takes advantage of her situation by tripping her up with a left leg sweep. It causes her to lose balance, but she manages to kick him in the stomach during the fall. Yu remains armed even after that and fires his weapon at her. That dreadful bane echoes around the observatory. Oh dear, he fires 4 consecutive shots. It makes the exact same sound as when he shot Alan earlier. Regardless, not one shot hits Odette because her kick before has knocked hit him off balance. There's a distinct clang as the bullets ricochet off the floor. Both of them collapse to the ground. Yu is the first to spring back up, likely due to his smaller frame. He readies his knife and flings at Odette. As soon as he throws it, he chases it straight toward her. Odette doesn't have time to get back up and instead opts to draw her gun while prone. She fires the same moment I notice her action. Yu does the same. The sound of both guns going off overlaps. His shot is directed at neither me nor Odette though, maybe because he's firing while at full sprint. Meanwhile, Odette's shot somehow connects with the knife he had thrown, which causes it to twirl up toward the ceiling. Yu's shot bounces off a small crevice in the floor, sending it straight to Odette's hand. That's what I think. Anyway, it barely missed her hand and strikes her gun instead. It breaks apart and flies across the room. Not bad, but we ain't done yet.
まずは1人
One down, one to go. Yu points his gun at Odette.
返すぜ。
Here's your toy back. For a brief moment I was unable to discern what's happened. For some reason Yu lets his gun fall to the floor. Shortly after that, I noticed blood dripping down to his right hand. Eek.
僕のナイフを
With my own knife? His words help me to piece it all together. Odette must have caught the knife she deflected earlier, and she threw it back at him just in time. Anyway, back to business.
この音
What's that sound? The faint ring of police sirens can be heard from the surface. I'm amazed it's taken them this long to arrive, considering the gravity of the situation. It may not be just the regular police and fire brigade either. The riot police may also have come. Having noticed this, Yu snatches up his gun and sprints toward the door leading to the emergency stairs.
逃げるのか。
You ain't getting away. He fails to anticipate that the stairway will be blocked off by a certain someone, however.
ここは通さない
You won't get past me.
君までフェイクか
You were bluffing as well? You must figure everything out in that moment. Alan disguised himself as one of the staff, but accounted for the possibility of getting shot. With that in mind, he'd make sure to both wear a bulletproof vest and tape additional plating around the part of his stomach that was most likely to be targeted. Apparently, he went with rubber plating to ensure the sound wouldn't give away the fact that he was okay. The blood was fake too. Had he gotten a hold of someone previously? All of this, including myself being taken hostage and Odette neutralizing him, was part of a plan. I wasn't able to do anything once they were locked in combat, but that was also expected. All I had to do was make sure the bomb didn't go off.
同行しろさもなくば力ずくで
You have two options. Come with us willingly, or we forced you to do so. Not only is you injured, but Alan also had his own gun on him. Most importantly, you was now trapped between two monsters.
嫌だね
I'd rather not go at all. Bastard Yu fires off a number of shots before Alan Odette had the chance to react. Every single shot pierces the fire extinguisher placed throughout the observatory. Tuh.
なるほど。煙幕代わりか。
A smokescreen, huh? Quick thinking.
感心している場合じゃない
Save the compliments for later. It takes a little more than a moment for the entire room to be cloaked in white smoke. I'll be taking this back. Yu's voice comes from in front of me while I struggle to see what's going on. The weight of the bag suddenly gets lifted from my arms. He took the bag.
明日の朝今度こそ君と決着を
We'll set up a score with fate tomorrow morning. I don't have the time to respond. I'm too busy panicking about what to do.
僕たちも限界だ逃げるぞ
We've done all we can for now. Let's make our escape too. Now.
面倒なルールがなけりゃよ。
Would have been a lot easier without all the rubbish rules. Alan takes my hand in before dragging me along with them because I'm still too shaken to move on my own. Ouch. After the initial surprise of the stream suddenly cutting out, Mal switches over to news sites for up-to-date information. The situation is still somewhat unclear, but it seems like they failed to blow up Tokyo Tower. However, the girl who was taken hostage has vanished. It's entirely possible that she is still being kept as a hostage. Amongst all of this, Mal finds herself worried over something.
一瞬リーターの声がしなかった。
I'm pretty sure I heard Winnie's voice. She could hardly believe it herself, but Mal is confident that she wouldn't mistake the voice of a close friend. That makes the unread messages she sent all the more concerning. Things got crazy at Tokyo Tower thanks to the police and fire brigade's arrival. We are able to make our escape while the police are busy arresting Yu's comrades. Fortunately, we could get out via the emergency staircase with relative ease thanks to the flood of people entering the place. Once out, we make our way back to our base in Yokohama.
俺
Here.
ありがとう。
Oh, thank you. She hands me a bag filled with fast food, a burger and fries to be precise. Next to her sits a bottle of alcohol she got from the convenience store. I take a bite of a comically oversized burger. Viscous ketchup and warm meat fills my mouth. The overwhelming flavors are somehow more delicious than I remember. Maybe it's due to how tired I am. Come to think of it, this is the first time I've eaten today. My heart's still racing for all that's gone down. I guess I never had the time to think about, let alone actually get some food.
やはりユウも捕まっていないようだな。
You hasn't been arrested as expected.
まあ私の前から逃げ出したんだ。そう簡単に捕まえられてたまるかっての。
Ain't no one who can get away from me like that gonna get caught by police. Odette munches away on her burger and fries while she responds. I figured her palate would match her taste and knowledge of coffee, but nope, she just seems to love the act of eating. There's something pleasant about the glee with which she does so, especially when you factor in that this is her third burger.
しかし、てめえの演技は案外いけたな。
Gotta hand it to you, your acting wasn't half bad.
必要ならするまでだ。
If something needs to be done, then one simply has to do it.
痩せ我慢もか
That explains your bravado.
分かっていたから思ったより痛みはなかった。
It hurts less than I anticipated. Care to give it a shot?
いいや断る。私だったら反撃しちまうよ。
Nah, I'm good. Can't promise that I wouldn't fire back. I wasn't able to get Yu's regret card. He's turned out to be a much tougher opponent than I'd assumed. I did get to hear about his past though. I'm finally able to understand the foundation behind his and his organization's belief.
リンカ、あのガキの演説の効果はどうだったんだ
How are things looking after that little speech of his?
ネットではユウの昔話をきっかけに議論が起きてる。もちろん火の多い賛否両論だけど。
A good chunk of the internet is discussing his past right now, of course. Most of the people are calling him out on it.
でもユウ本人に同情している声は多いみたい。
From what I can see, there are plenty of people who sympathize with him too. Sympathize. It's safe to say his stream worked. All the news channels are reporting on what happened today. While it's fortunate that there were no victims, the influence it's having on the world at large cannot be understated.
ユウが脱落したらかなり大きな世界の改変が行われるだろう。
Fate has plenty of work on its place once he gets eliminated. Yeah. If things get reworked so that he died during a suicide attack on the Yamamoto line, then it's likely that both his attack on Amecha and what happened today will be undone. Society's become far more alert due to the recent string of attacks. People are even starting to feel bad for the perpetrators after seeing Yu's stream. His actions installing fear in a great number of people have no doubt affected society as a whole. Will that be undone through his elimination as well? We won't know until it happens.
しかし、どうしたもんかね。見事に逃げられちまったもんだから、追いようもね。
The question now is what to do since he got away. Ain't an easy way to track him down either.
僕の情報網でも彼の動向はまだわからない。ヌル日本支部は今日をきっかけに事実上壊滅状態になるだろうが、
None of my connections know his location. Null's Japan branch is all but dead at this point, but he still has a bomb at his disposal.
爆弾一つでも人の命を奪うことはできる。ユウは止まらないだろうな。
He only needs but one to claim a significant number of lives. Today's events won't stop him.
彼はきっと明日動きます。
He'll make his move tomorrow.
心当たりでもあるのか。
What makes you say that? I swallowed a chunk of my burger before
ユウ
continuing.
は私に言った。明日の朝、今度こそ運命に決着をって。
You said that we'd settle things with fate tomorrow morning.
だから明日も動くのは間違いない。
He wouldn't say that and then stay put.
そうか。
Well then.
でもそれしかわからない。
That's all he said though.
何をしようとしているの
I don't know what he's got planned.
順当なのは東京タワーを狙うだろうな。警備が厳重になっている中でやり遂げたらさらに効果は上がるさ。
Chances are he'll go for Tokyo Tower again, pulling this off while they've got security up the arse. That'll have way more impact. I think I've had people like the scenario myself. His beliefs are steadfast, yet they don't tie into his desire for me to kill him. He's been oddly focused on the idea of settling the score with fate too. What does he mean by that?
明日も早朝から東京タワーへ向かおう。手がかりがない今、そうするしかない。
We'll make our way to Tokyo Tower early in the morning. That's our best course of action given the limited information at our disposal. Both myself and Odette nod in agreement. We'll take some time to rest up after we finish eating. Unfortunately, I can't go home now we know you plans on making his move tomorrow. Well, I'm probably best off not going back anywhere. Odette took care of Tokyo Tower's security cams, but the police may come to question me on the off chance there's footage of me. I've still got a gun on me, so they'd probably arrest me on the spot. Today was a whole new experience for me. It's left me absolutely exhausted. Thinking back, it was a miracle that I came out of it unscathed. That's how crazy it was. There's a public bathhouse about 20 minutes away on foot, so the three of us make the trek to get washed up. Sure, I built up a bunch of a sweat on the way back, but considering the state I was in before the bath, it's worth it. Once we return, we go straight to sleep. We're going to be getting up just as early as we did today. What's more, tomorrow's likely to take even more on a toll of us, considering we don't know what Yu's planning. Odette falls asleep first this time, probably because she was drinking, but knowing her, she'd probably spring right up even if you even thought about approaching her. I wouldn't be surprised, not after witnessing her fight with you this afternoon.
起きているのか。
Are you still awake? Yeah.
早く寝た方がいい。
You should get as much sleep as you can. That's all he says before he covers his face again. I want to thank him for accepting the role he took on today, but I hold my tongue. We're just using one another for our own benefit. He didn't do it for my sake. This is the same guy who... Yeah. I can't forget that. Just as I try to fall asleep, he poses a question to me in a hushed tone.
人を殺すことは罪だと思うか。
Do you think it's a sin to do that? A question that doesn't even need an answer at that. In this I'll reply with a nod.
なら、選定で人を脱落させるのは罪か。
Then, do you also think it's a sin to eliminate others in divine selection?
それはそうだと。
I'd say that. Yeah, it is. Both Naomi and myself treated him that way whenever we talked about divine selection, but now Naomi's gone. I didn't have any choice but to commit that sin if I want to get her back.
僕はそうは思わない。女神の選定で脱落させることは本来の死の運命に戻すこと。
I don't see it that way. Eliminating someone the way we do simply puts them back on their initial path.
あるいは最後の一人になり死の運命を乗り越えてしまうことの方が罪かもしれないとも思う。
You're bending fate in that way, yeah. Surviving through this to the end and stepping off that path may, in fact, be the one true sin.
そうなると結果的に最後の一人になるために
Although I
女神の
suppose,
選定
yeah.
で他人を脱落させるという行為は罪になる。
Although I suppose that would make the act of eliminating others a sin in retrospect. His own statements are contradictory.
何が言いたいの？
What are you trying to say?
最近はそういうことをよく考
I found myself thinking about it lately, is all.
は
Huh? His response didn't even come close to answering my question. He didn't say another word though. I realized something important just as about to fall asleep though. The Alan I've come to know isn't the type of person to say a thing like that. In that case, why would he let me see this other side of him? I just can't figure it out. Well, here we are again. We go back to Tokyo Tower the next morning. Unsurprisingly, the observatory is closed off. Only the aquarium and a small number of shops are still open. Hard to blame them, considering what happened. They might have failed, but anything involving hostages, gunshots, and a hostage who goes missing is a big deal. I say that as someone who actually knows what went down too. But really, the biggest surprise to me is that they didn't shut the entire place down. I guess it might be their way of saying they won't give in to terrorism.
しかしまあこれじゃ奴もことを起こす意味がない。
He ain't gonna get much out of whatever he tries to pull in this state.
でも必ず何かすると思う。じゃないと運命に決着をなんて言わない。
It won't stop him though. He wouldn't mention settling things with fate if he didn't have something else planned.
心当たりがないのかもう一度よく考えてみろ。
Try and think. Is there anywhere else he's likely to turn up? He poses his question in a composed manner. There is a certain strength behind it too. Nothing like the weak side he let slip yesterday. I honestly don't know though. Times like this demand that I would think things through from the beginning. Starting with the connection between me and you, Naomi was at the core. He took her life at a matcha, all for the sake of making me eliminate him. I'm still not sure why he wants me to do it. However, I'm sure he left me a hint within that speech of his yesterday. Become a hero through death. Maybe his regret was that he couldn't be a hero when he did that. Think back to when, just before he unfortunately crushed your throat, Rinka. Giving one's life to accomplish something earns one the title of hero. That's what he's saying. Why am I the one that he's so focused on then? There are others he could eliminate, so a spark of fire lights up my mind all of a sudden. Fire like the one that engulfed us back both then. The fateful exchange that it overheard us have. You won't become a hero. You're not even human. You're just a puppet. I was one bold enough to proclaim that to him with my dying breath.
まさか
Don't tell me. My thoughts led me to the most logical conclusion, one that proves to be the closest to finding the answer I've been looking for. I turned to face Odette and Alan.
私一人で
Let me handle this alone.
ああ
What?
運命に決着をつけてくる。
I'm gonna settle things with fate myself.
心当たりがあったのか。
Did something come to mind? I look Alan in the eyes and nod firmly. It's obvious they'll say no to me. I can't explain my reasoning though. They'd get a hold of too much of my information if I do. Actually, they'd probably come along even if I gave them a vague explanation. There's no guarantee I'm right, but it's not likely they have any other leads. They don't have much of a choice. I can't let them come though. I won't be able to reach the answer I've been looking for if I don't do this on my own.
好きにしろよ。逃げる奴の目じゃねえだろ。
Whatever. Go for it. That ain't the face of someone who's gonna bail.
同感だ。
Agreed. He peers deep into my eyes before offering his consent. A brief pause follows before he closes his own eyes and continues.
僕たちは各自調べる。協力関係もここまでだ。
We'll do our own digging. As of now, our alliance has ended.
まあ悪くはなかったよ。なかなか楽しめた。
I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a kick out of working with you two.
え
Huh?
え
Are
いい
you
の
sure?
仮に君が逃げようとしていたところで、僕たちから逃げられると思うか。
Let's assume you plan to flee. Do you think you would be able to escape us?
その方が落ち着きます。
Good. That's the attitude I expect from you.
ジョーちゃんもなかなか嫌味な性格になったもんだ。
You sure have gotten snide, haven't you?
誰のせいだと
Says the person responsible for it.
次に会うときは敵同士だ。
When next we meet, we shall be enemies.
今だって十分敵だよ。私らは。敵同士が一時的にお手手をつないでただけなんだからな。
We never weren't enemies, but we just held hands for a bit. I can feel my heart racing. Working together with those two was strangely exhilarating. Following that, the three of us could all go our separate ways. Being able to work together with those two as equals have given me strength. I always thought we belonged in different worlds, but that's not the case. They may outclass me when it comes to physical prowess and combat ability, but I've proven that we can stand toe-to-toe when it comes to our determination.
行くよ。
Let's do this. Those words represent my determination. There are a number of terms used to describe a sequence of events that lead to a specific outcome. Some call it life, others call it a story. One's responsible for much during this sequence, such as choices piqued, relationships built, and mistakes made. All of this sake of proceeding along a predetermined path. That is the natural order of a world ruled by the concept of fate. Fate never strays from its course, regardless of how cruel it may be. There was a time when I truly believed all of that, but now I know. You don't just let fate run its course, you shoulder it yourself. That's why I'm going to settle the score. I'll change fate itself. I'll make my way to the station closest to Tokyo Tower and then take the train to Shinjuku. Once there, I rushed to where this all began, the place that led me to losing my life. I've been here a number of times since Divine Selection began. This is a time that truly matters though. There he is. The train is already sitting at the platform. The signal of imminent departure rings out just as I spot him. You again. He is in disguise today as well, from what I can tell. I can barely make out his outline from here, but I know it's him. The hair, those rabid eyes, and the keychain on his bag. Those all stand out. He seems to have noticed me. His cold gaze sends a shiver down my spine. It's possible he's been waiting here for my arrival. In fact, that's definitely the case. He turns and boards the train. I jump into the car closest to me so I don't miss. Although the train isn't packed due it to be a Sunday, there's still a decent number of passengers. Enough for all the seats to be taken and leave a good amount of people standing.
急がなくちゃ。
I need to hurry. Things kicked off not long after leaving Shinjuku on that fateful day. That's why I ran toward the car that you boarded, paying no attention to the people I bumped into along the way. I'm moving towards the front cars, the same direction but the train is moving in. The situation was already escalated by the time I reached my destination, however. Yu opens his bag the exact moment I arrive. Run! I scream at the other passengers on instincts. I can't say for sure but how many hear me. The lack of any significant reaction tells me there's been very few. That's not my problem though. There's only one thing for me to do here.
来たね。
You took your time. Yu has tossed his disguise. His face is recognizable by an entire country after yesterday's stream. Those who see him immediately understand their situation. In that sense, his presence alone believes to be far more effective than my warning.
何をするつもり？
What are you planning?
言ったはずだよ。運命に決着をつけるって。
I told you, I'm settling the score with fate.
ここで爆弾を爆破させても、あなたはもう誰も殺せない。
You won't be able to kill anyone now, even if you let that bomb go off. Unlucky that he didn't opt to do anything wild right away. Nothing was stopping him from letting the bomb go off right then and there.
いいよ。君がここにたどり着いてくれたから。
That's fine. All that matters is that you're here now.
あなたの希望は分かってるよ。
I'm aware of what you want. I stand tall as I confront him. The passengers in our car gradually make their way to another one. Someone tries to grab my arm to help me escape as well, but I brush it off. You might detonate the bomb if he thinks I'm trying to escape. I have no intention of doing so. If he wants to settle the score, then I'm all for it.
英雄になりたいんだ。人形じゃなく、人間に。
You want to become a hero, not as a puppet, but as your own person.
やっぱりあれは幻聴じゃなかったの。あの時僕たちはカードブックを持っていなかったのに会話が通じた。
So I wasn't hearing things after all. We didn't even have our card books back then, and yet we understood each other?
僕はまだ日本語をほとんど使うことができなかったからね。
Odd, considering I could barely comprehend Japanese back then.
どうだっていい。あなたの言う決着はこれで終わりじゃないはず。
Doesn't matter. Surely you're not satisfied with just me being here.
お前が僕を殺さなかったからさ。今こうなっているのは。
It's your fault for committing this, you. It's your fault everything ended up like this. You should have ended me before.
だから言ってる。決着をつけたいのはあなただけじゃない。
That's why I'm here now. You're not the only one trying to settle things.
記憶を失っていたけれど、おじいちゃんと生活しながら、僕は徐々に思い出していたんだ。
My memories were gradually coming back to me as I spent time with him.
自分のことを、行き詰まった自分の過去を、僕は自分の性質を分かっていた。
I slowly came to remember everything about myself, my past, my desperation, and most importantly, my true nature.
だから5度目の選定の時、
That's why I
お前に
begged you
指
to
名してほしい
eliminate
と
me.
お願いをしたんだよ。僕はもう、お前たちの言う普通へは帰れない。
I don't have a normal life to go back to after this. I'm not like you.
それでも牛塚さんとあなたは普通に暮らしていた。あなたはそうすることもできていた。まるで家族のように。
You had a normal life with him, though. You two were like family.
できない方が幸せだったよ。失うのは記憶じゃなくて、理性の方であるべきだった。
And I've ended up worse off for it. If I had to lose anything, it should have been my conscience.
もしそうだったら僕は人を殺すだけの機械になれた。
I wouldn't have to worry about anything then. I would have been nothing more than a mindless machine built to kill.
お前たちと同じ普通を知ってしまったからこそ、僕は自分を否定しなくちゃいけなくなったんだ。
Having my eyes open to what a normal life looks like made me revisiting my past that much more painful. I don't want that feeling.
あなたらしい生き方を探せばよかった。
All you had to do was find your own way to live.
無理だ。おじいちゃんだってそんなこと教えられない。
I can't. He never taught me how.
言葉にしなくても伝わると思ったから。あなたを信じていたから。
He never felt the need to. He honestly believed that you manage.
牛塚さんはあなたに決めてほしかった。生き方を選んでほしかった。あなたが道を選べるようにお金だけを残したんでしょう。
He wanted you to decide how you would lead your life on your own. That's what the money he left behind was for.
そんなの僕には。
He's asking too much of me.
無理じゃない。あなたは自分の意志で自分が人形になるのを選んだんでしょ。
No, he's not. It was your choice to become a puppet in the first place, wasn't it?
僕は人形じゃない。
Yes, you are, you. You are a slave to your own masters. I'm not a puppet.
だったら
Then prove it.
だからこうしてお前に殺されるようにしているんだ。
That's why I'm
お
doing
前に
this.
殺されて英雄になるんだ。
I'll become a hero after you eliminate me.
あなたの言う英雄って何？あなたにとっての英雄って本当は空虚な幻想なんじゃないの？
Tell me, what is a hero to you? To me, it sounds like nothing more than some tall tale of your own design.
何かを成し遂げて死ぬこと、死んで永遠になることだ。
A hero is someone who gives their life to accomplish something. Someone who, in death, becomes timeless.
僕はおじいちゃんがいなくなったから自分の意志で元の仕事をこなすことを決めた。自
Everything
分の意志で世界へ抵抗することを決めた。
I've done after he was eliminated was by my own will. Going back to my old work, making a stand against the world.
自分の意志でお前に殺されることを望んだ。だから自分の意志でお前の大切なものを奪った。
Taking what's important to you was all part of it. I wanted you to kill me, so I killed someone close to you first.
自分の意志で行動したんだ。僕は自分の意志があることを証明できた。
Are you
成し
sure?
遂げたんだ。
I did this of my own violation. I've proven that I'm not just some puppet. I feel myself about to scream when he brings up Naomi. I can't let it out though. I must hold it in. I'm pretty sure he means everything he said. That's why all I feel for him now is pity. I know that I shouldn't. I mean, it makes no sense to feel sorry for a person who killed Naomi. I'd convinced myself that the story he told at Tokyo Tower meant nothing to me. But still,
あなたの思う英雄は誰なの？
who is a great hero to you then? I have to ask him.
僕の思
A great
う
hero?
一番の
To me?
決まってる。それはママだ。
My mama, of course. Who else could it be?
その人はあなたに何を与えたの？それはきっと牛塚さんがあなたに与えたのと同じことじゃないの？
Correct, Ben Rinka. But this little one denied it. Who was it she provided for you? Well, what was it that she provided for you, Ben? I'm sure it was the same thing as he did. Yeah.
ママに
What did Mama give me?
牛塚さんはあなたに誰かに何かを与えられる人になってほしいと願っていた。
He
その理
want
想はあなたの言うママと同じはず。
he wanted you to become a person who could provide something for another, a desire she likely shared.
でもその何かは恐怖や絶望、怒りや悲しみなんかじゃない。そんなこと誰も望んではいないはず。
And
ユウ
that,
あなただって。
and that something wasn't fear or despair, much less anger or sadness. No one would wish for that. You understand that, don't you?
僕は
I...
あなたが牛塚さんのつけてくれた名前を受け入れたのはそれが分かっていたからでしょ。ユウっていうのはね、優しくて勇ましいってこと。
You knew he considered you both kind and brave. That's why you accepted the name he gave you.
あなただってそうなりたいから。今だって自分のことをユウって思ってるんでしょ。
He wanted to become the person he saw. That's why you're still using that name, even now.
だってあなたの使命のカードは消えていない。あなたの本当の意志は英雄になんてなりたがっていない。
Only your card name didn't disappear. That's more than enough proof that, deep down, you don't want to become this kind of hero.
自分と向き合うことから逃げるな。
Quit running and face yourself already.
黙れ。もう喋るな。
He cuts me off with a rapid scream. There's more to it than just his words, though. His animosity toward me is palpable. He's become nothing more than a desperate child. Oh gosh, he whips his bag open while screaming. Inside the exact same bomb he used on the day we died.
やめろ。
Don't do it! He's not doing this to kill others. He's trying to hurt himself. This is his solution to escape the contradiction within himself. I dash towards him in response. I'm doing it instinctively. My reasoning behind my action doesn't matter right now.
やけになって。
Don't be so rash!
僕は。
I like the fire in the background. You what? I can make it before he triggers the bomb. I can. Just as I think that, the train lurches violently. The speakers announce that they have engaged the emergency brakes. Someone must have pressed the emergency stop button after the flameless train car. As a result, I throw all my weight back in order to keep myself from face planting as I ran at you. The recoil on top of this shaft throws me back against the door connecting this car and the next. I turn my gaze back to you after making sense of what just happened, only to find that I am too late. Oh dear. A thunderous roar resounds, accompanied by a blinding light. This is a scene embedded deep within my psyche. This again. I close my eyes as the explosion goes off. Fortunately, I get away with just a cut on my leg due to both the distance and the fact that you were smothering the bomb when he set it off. Then again, it must be due to divine selection working to protect me as a participant. The flames from the explosion envelop the car just like they did before. The heat wave causes my vision to blur. I can feel the discomfort of my skin from the intense heat too. It's the same scene I witnessed before. The scene undone by divine selection. What happened to you? There.
やっぱり僕は死ねないんだ。
Maybe this was necessary. I knew it. I can't die. I turn my eyes from you the moment he enters my line of sight. The explosion had roasted him alive. Fragments of a bomb are lodged in his body, exposing raw muscle. He is bleeding profusively. I only look upon him for a second, but I will never forget that sight. The smell of burnt flesh wafts through the car with the smoke. I look back towards him slowly.
こっちへ来て。そんな怪我じゃすぐ手当てすればまだ。
Come here, you. I can help you before it's too late.
僕を手当てして。
What do you have to gain by helping me? The heat I feel is nothing compared to what it must be around you, who is at the locus of the explosion. I try to make my way over to him, but my body refuses to move. Yu's card book, which remains completely unscathed, lays at his feet. I would have expected it to catch fire, but there it is, perfectly fine. The tattered and scorched remnants of Yu's bag lays beside it. The keychain had been damaged a bit, but it's more or less survived the blast. Yu picks it up ever so slowly.
このキーホルダーがついたリュックは僕が日本に来て買ったものだ。別になんとなく買っただけだ。
I brought the bag along with this keychain the very first day I got to Japan. I didn't think much of it at the
で
time.
も東京タワーでこれを取られた時取り返さなくちゃって思った。
But when you took it from me at
僕の
Tokyo
大事なもの
Tower,
になってたんだよ。
I felt I had to get it back. It had become important to me at some point.
おじいちゃんと暮らして
At
大
some
事な
point
ものになっちゃったんだ。
during the time I spent with him.
話なら後で聞くから、今はこっちに。
Tell me later, just get over here now. I don't know why I'm worried about him. All I need to do is learn his regret, but I can't settle down seeing him like that.
おじいちゃんは誰かが家にいる時は鍵をかけなかったけど出かける時は鍵をかけた。
He never locked the door when someone was home, but he would whenever we were out.
鍵をかけて家を出る。鍵を開けて家に入る。そんなの君たちからすれば当たり前だよね。
Is this meant to be a metaphor for something, dear one? You lock the door when you leave and unlock it when you come home. That's common sense to you.
その当たり前が欲しくなっちゃってたんだ。
I wanted that to be the case for me as well.
おじいちゃんがいなくなって、それが叶わなくなってから気がついた。
I only realized it once he was gone, though. Once that desire of mine became unattainable.
できることなら僕は君たちと同じ
If possible,
普通の中で暮らしたかったんだ。
I wanted to live a normal life, like all of you. My card book begins to shine. Not that I'm in any position to check it right now. I drag myself as close to him as I can before extending my hand. The unseen wall of heat around him pushes against me. The sweat built up on my arm evaporates before it had a chance to drip off me.
こんな時に
That doesn't matter right now.
これで
Now you can
僕を殺せるね。
finally kill me. You! A gust of smoke surrounds him all of a sudden. Probably because a swirl of air just got sucked into the car when a window broke. The flames grew more intense. I can't even keep my eyes open. The amount of smoke causes me to crouch without thinking. I must be trying to keep myself from breathing it in. My right hand remains extended towards you though. It's one part of my body I still control willingly. I feel something solid touching it though.
お姉ちゃん
Thank you,
ありがとう。
Rinka. I'm not sure if he speaks after touching my hand or if I imagine it. Regardless, I feel my consciousness fading from the suffocating heat. I give in to it and pass out. Where will be up next? We'll be here next, actually.
ごきげんよう。運命の奴隷の皆様。
Good evening, my lovely little slaves to fate. The next thing I hear when I regain consciousness is their ever haughty voice.
おや？お顔が優れませんわね。
Goodness me, you certainly look subpar. I lost consciousness in the train due to the heat and smoke. The fact that I'm in the court of fate means that this week's election has started. I got on the train before noon, so that means I must have been out cold for 12 hours. What happened to my physical body? Is it in a hospital somewhere? Alan Odette looked unfazed as always. Odette even has the luxury of yawning. Odd, considering you can't actually be tied in the dream world. Meanwhile, Scale lets out a dramatic sigh. I'm not really sure what he's thinking based on his ambiguous expression. As for Federico, he seems awfully restless. He's tapping his finger and tutting. I don't know how things stand between them, so all I can do is guess based on what I see. At the very least, Odette's probably still working on her own. Mahalu seems somewhat relieved after giving me a quick once-over. Maybe she's learned that I collapsed in the train somehow. Her not saying anything probably means that she's still cooperating with the others under the pretense that we're no longer friends.
お姉ちゃん
So you... I turn my attention to numerical 4. There you stand, unscathed. Based off this and Frederico's case, I have to assume that our state in the real world truly is not reflected in the dream world. An odd sense of relief washes over me when I see him like this. I'm not sure why, considering I'm about to elect him. I open my card book. All the cards in my possession fly out open during so, including the most recent one I gained, Numerical 4 Regret. It's used regret card.
なんだかとても険悪な雰囲気ですわね。
Things seem to have grown a touch gloomy around here, no?
私が皆様を和ませてあげられればいいのですけれど。
I do hope there's something I can do to cheer you up.
それはいい。お歌でも歌ってもらおうかい、女神様よ。
Oh good. How about our lovely goddess sings us a little ditty?
くだらん。
Don't waste our time.
そうだ、もう始めてくれ。どうせ俺は今日は。
Yeah, let's just get started already. Not like I'm
誰も指名しない。
gonna elect anyone tonight, right?
くせえ。
Shut it. Same goes for you, doesn't it?
さあ、
I wonder. Frederico frowns in response to Odetti's hearty grin.
たった一人しか死の運命を乗り越えられないんだ。険悪にもなるだろう。
You'd have a hard time not being gloomy if you were counted amongst us as a participant
女
too.
神の歌は弾いてみたくもあったけれどね。
Can't deny that I'd like to hear our little goddess sing for us, though.
いい加減始めてくれ。
Just get started already. Alan directs his comment to Parser, making his discontent obvious. There's an oddly functional flow to our conversations now that most of us know each other. It's different from when Divine Selection first began. That fact scares me.
もうせっかく皆様の知っているお歌も勉強しましたのに。
Oh, what a shame.
残念ですわ。
My efforts to learn the songs you people know all for naught.
どこで勉強したって言うんだよ。
How do you go about learning them?
知りたいですか？
Are you so curious?
私も
Yeah,
興味あるね。
I most certainly am. Odetti isn't joking. I can tell she's serious based on the tone of her voice. I've spoken to her in person, so I know. It may have sounded inconsequential, but she is looking to get something out of Parser.
まだ教えてあげませんわ。
I'm afraid I'll have to keep you in the dark.
レディーは秘密が多い方が魅力的でございましょう。
A lady is only as charming as the number of secrets she holds, no? Her choice of words makes her sound mischievous, almost like a regular child even.
いいから早くしてよ。
Can we get on with this? Yo's tone is as sharp as it is cold. It's obvious how little he cares for Parser.
あら、せっかちさんですわね。けれど、今日は少しお話ししすぎてしまったかもしれませんわ。
Now, no need to be so hasty, though I must admit, perhaps I spoke a bit too much tonight.
それでは、今宵も女神の選定を始めますわ。
Allow me to begin tonight's election.
回りなさい。
Revolve,
運
O
命の
clock of
大
fate.
時計。
Her stock praise signals the begin of tonight's election. The clock hand at the center of the court of fate begins to revolve. Nothing she does is any different from normal, but tonight sounds completely different to me. The reason why is simple. Tonight will be the first night I elect someone.
でも、
But I'm conflicted over what to do even now. Electing someone is the same as stripping away their life for it to live. It's no different from killing them. Yu's pained voice comes to me. His heartful cry to the world. His battle with the contradiction born within him. I can't so glance over to him once again. He just looks like an average boy right now, hardly someone capable of terrorism. The wild look he showed before is gone now. In fact, he seems to be at peace. Is he ready to be elected? Does he feel relieved that he'll finally be freed from his suffering? I can't tell from where I'm standing. He doesn't bother to say anything to me.
一番様。
Well, Numerical 1? She inquires she knows exactly what is going through my mind, as if she knows I'm about to elect you. It makes sense if she's observing the events that happen in the real world. How she does that I'm not sure, not that it matters right now. I can't finish my sentence. I thought I was ready to accept the responsibility of throwing another person's life away of my own. I just can't say it.
君は、
Are you really?
あら、どうさ されました？
It's a simple question, my
指名
dear.
はいかがなさいますか？
My dear, will you elect someone or not? Why did I go through everything to obtain user regret card? I feel like I'll forget at this rate, but even so.
指名はなし。
Shall I presume that your answer is a no? Wait. Naomi's face comes to mind. Yu's actions will be undone with his elimination. That means what happened at a matchup will also be undone. If that can happen, then Naomi will... Pull yourself together, Rinka. I muttered my own name under my breath. That's not a good reason. We can't shoulder anything together if I let such thoughts spur my actions. I'd just be using her as an excuse for my own weakness. I don't know who that is. I remind myself to make my decision based solely on my own judgment. If I'm going to eliminate him, it's because I choose to. My own regret comes to mind. I swore that I would live my life out.
指名
I'm going to elect someone.
するよ。
Well then. I am straightened my back to regain my posture. My eyes fell directly on you following that. He still has the same gentle expression from before. It's the same expression from back when he first ate the dinner I made for him. Even so,
私は読むわ。
I elect
指名する。
numerical 4. I have to utter those words no matter what.
受けたまわりましたわ。
Very well. Passer proceeds with question to other participants. I almost break out in a sweat when Aditi's turn comes and goes without incident. That would have been the moment I got elected if I had given in to her demands on Friday. In the end, the clock doesn't stop at anyone else. I'm the only one electing someone tonight.
それではこれより1番様による4番様のご指名を開始いたしますわ。
With that decided, numerical 1 and number 4. Allow me to begin the election procedure. My platform begins to move in tandem with her statement. Yu's platform does the same. Both of us ascend to the upper stratum of quarter fate. It's an odd sensation to say the least. The way my platform ascends almost feels like I'm on an elevator. There aren't any walls around to support it, but it somehow feels like I can't actually fall off it. That's how smooth and steady the ascent feels. I'm surrounded by unfamiliar scenery once the platform stops. Almost like I'm perched high above the clouds. There's nothing but darkness below. I can't see Maharu or any of the other participants from here. You, on the other hand, stands directly across me.
僕を殺してくれるんだね。
You finally decided to eliminate me. Yeah,
僕を苦しみからやっと解き放ってくれる。
you're finally going to set me free from my pain.
そうじゃない。あなたを救えるのは
Not quite.
あなたしかいない。
Only you can save yourself.
お待たせいたしましたわ。それでは指名を始めましょう。
Apologies for the wait. Let us commence the election process, shall we?
待って。ねえ、お姉ちゃん。それはどういう意味？僕は
Wait a minute.
お姉ちゃんに殺されて、そ
What?
れで。
What's that supposed to mean, Rinka? I thought you were going to eliminate me to help me. Passer urges us on, so I open up my card book. All my cards fly out the moment I do. It seems I need to pick the relevant ones in order.
指名、ゆう。牛塚さんがあなたに与えた大切な名前。すごく素敵な名前。
I think this will be the thumbnail.
死因、焼死。私の運命と奇妙に絡み合っていたあなたの死因。正直言って恨んでる。
Fire was the cause of your death, a cause oddly intertwined with my own.
ダメだね。
If I'm being honest, I hated you for it before, but now I just feel sad about it. I'll pick his name and cause of death in succession.
いい加減自分で自分を許してあげて。
How about you forgive yourself already?
え、
Huh?
ナオミの命を奪ったあなたを私は許してあげることはできない。でもね、あなたが否定をしたらあなたを許す人は誰もいないよ。
I can't forgive you after you took Naomi's life. That being said, neither will anyone else if you keep denying yourself.
あなたは人形なんかじゃない。
You're no puppet,
永遠に。
much less a hero.
でもね、それでもあなたは人間だ。
What you are is as human as they come. That's the best I could do for him. When it all began, the words I left him with before dying stuck with him this whole time. As such, he has no choice but to deny both himself and his past.
私も生まれてすぐ両親を亡くしたんだ。だからもしかしたらあなたのことをもっと理解してあげなきゃいけなかったのかもしれないけど。
I lost my beloved ones not long after I was born, so no one could argue that I should have tried harder to understand you and your position.
無理だった。あなたと私は違いすぎたから。私はいろんな人にいろんなものを与え続けられて育った反面、あなたはいろんな人に
But the lives we led were far too different. I grew up providing for those around me, whereas you grew up taking from those around you.
にもかかわらず牛塚さんと出会って与えられる幸せを知ってしまった。可能性を見せられてしまった。
And after all that, you met him. You learnt the joy of providing for another, and the possibilities could open up for you.
あなたの理念、普通の日常という可能性を。その普通はあなたにとってではなくて牛塚さんや私の思う普通だった。
The possibility of leading a normal life, not by your standards, but by those of people like him and myself. That's what became your regret. I take all three of his cards in
だ
hand.
から辛かったんだよね。結果だけ与えられちゃってもどうやったら普通になれるかわからない。だから普通を否定することしかできなかった。
That's why it was so hard for you, wasn't it? You were simply handed that new life, so you never knew how to attain it on your own. That led you to denying the very concept of it.
ユウ、あなたのことは
You. I won't forget you.
僕たちは絶対に理解し合うことはできない。その理由が今分かったよ。
I finally understand.
僕たちの始まりは同じだったんだ。
If I was speaking in English, then I wouldn't interrupt the voice acting. Ever. I finally understand why we'll never understand one another. It's because we both started out the same way.
僕だね。あまりに。
It's almost too cruel how things turned out.
でも最後に人間として死ねる。これって普通のことだよね。
I'll be able to die a human, at least. That's normal, isn't it? Yeah. All three of my cards began to move on their own. Once they reached the middle of the Court of Fate, they come together and form a triangular shape. What flows is a sudden burst of light that swallows my surroundings.
ああ、よかった。僕を殺してもらう相手にお姉ちゃんを選んで。
I'm glad I settled on you as the person to kill me. Oddly enough, our regrets are the same to an extent. Both involve the concept of living regular lives. The values we held surrounding them are completely different though. For me, it's all about what I already knew. For him, it was what he had come to know.
お姉ちゃんが相手なら恨みながら死ねるから。
I could resent you all I want in death. You and me both.
愛様だよ。
The light from my cards envelops us both. It's bright light enough that I involuntarily squeeze my eyes shut only to notice my consciousness leaving my
痛く
body.
ない。
I heard a voice during this.
死にたくない。僕は死にたくないよ。
This was on the train.
暮らせたかもしれないのに。
I could have lived a normal
死
life.
にたくない。死にたくない。嫌だ。嫌だ。
This was on the train.
お姉ちゃん。おじいちゃん。ママ。死にたくないよ。もっと。もっと。僕の未来は。
It's too late, demon spawn. His voice becomes more and more distant. All I could do is listen. I listened to him reveal his true feelings, then and there, during his final moments. Flames enveloped me. This is a sight I recognize. It is almost the exact same scenery I witnessed when I died, after all. My line of sight is much lower than usual, though. That's when I realized it. This was from Yu's perspective. He was sitting down after having... oh gosh.
僕は 人間だ。
Yeah, his lungs had lost their function. His skin was charged. His very cells had been obliterated.
そして僕は英雄になった。
You're no hero, boy. His words fell on deaf ears.
これでよかった。
This is how it should be. As much as he tried to breathe, his blood refused to carry the oxygen. Not like the air could ever reach his lungs at this point.
よかったんだよね。
No,
ママ。
she wouldn't be pleased that you did this. It was doubtful if he could even speak properly at this point. That wasn't a concern of his, though. He just did everything he could to speak his last words. He did it to convince himself, to reassert himself.
別に
It's not. But that effect didn't last for long.
いや
Well, you should have thought of that first before committing this sort of act. His lungs were shot. He couldn't speak anymore.
やだ。やだ。やだ。
That's why those end up being his last words. He unleashed one final scream married with regret and repentance. His vision was dyed red following that. The flames burned away with a contraction and sins he bore. And the lives that he took with him.
今のはユウの死の映像。
Those were Yu's final moments, weren't they? Yu had already disappeared by this point. His final words to me were full of resentment. That's fine by me though. I had everything he lacked, everything he ever wanted, and yet I still might find myself clenching my fists. If an afterlife really does exist, then at the very least, I could pray that it's a place where our growths during divine selection aren't forgotten. That might be even more painful for him. Knowing that we consider to be a regular life might cause him to panic and question himself. So long as he has the freedom to figure things out, he should be fine.
神様だって信じていないのに。
Funny, but I'd think of such things when I don't believe in God or heaven.
あら、ここに女神はいますわよ。
Oh, how impressive for you to say that in the presence of a goddess. Shut up.
恐ろしいですわね。それでは4番様の持っていたカードを
Oh
あ
my.
なたにお見せします。
How scary. Allow me to show you the
ど
card.
れを自分のものとするか、仮想へ戻るまでに考
Allow me
えてくださいませ。
Allow me to show you the cards in Numero 4's possession. Please consider which you'd like to obtain as you descend. My platform begins to move, not even giving me enough time to get sentimental over user animation. I can bring Naomi back now. Not even that thought prevents me from feeling miserable. I have all of these already.
先
Pastor told me to choose whichever card I wanted, but you doesn't have anything I can take. Just those I already have or ones that belong to those who have already been eliminated. The ones I already have are Numero 2 and Numero 9's name. Mahalo and Scale Johnson's cards. That makes it obvious how little interest Yu has in divine selection. Thus, my very first selection has come to an end. It doesn't feel very special, if anything. It only served to put a greater burden on my shoulders.
それでは今宵の脱落者は1名。
Tonight's session results in one elimination.
選定を終了といたしましょう。
I bid you all farewell for now. I look over to the empty platform on which you once stood. I don't look at just his platform though. Numero 5, his platform. Numero 8, Keika's platform. Numero 10, Sonia's platform. Even the platforms of Numero 6 and 7, which belong to people I never got to know. I found myself brooding over each and every one of them. 7th week passed. And I'm back here. The fog in my consciousness gradually begins to dissipate. I sense somebody nearby. Well, we're going to leave that until the next time, folks. So, thank you so much for watching, and we shall see each other in the next time of Fatal 12. I'm glad that Yu has finally been put out of the equation. Have a good day and take care of yourselves.